H2KInfosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2KInfosys supports 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus. One-time pay, lifetime access to live classes and videos. H2KInfosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For free demo class, visit h2kinfosys.com.
So it's clear now for me. The 4 points have been clarified. And one more question which I got now is, is it possible that the table does not have a primary key? Yes, primary key is not mandatory. So sometime back I created a table. So sometime back here I created a table employee which is not having primary key. So it is not necessary for a table to have a primary key. Okay, but still if you have it, that's well and good. That's how we can differentiate from other records. Okay, so yeah, any other questions? I'm seeing some more questions. It can be 0 also, right? That depends. If you add 0 once, it will agree because it should not be duplicate, but it can be 0. But real time employee ID cannot be 0. In reality, employee ID cannot be 0. For that, we need to find ways how to restrict it not to be 0. Okay, so now let me show the code how to create a primary table. Okay, so let's go back to the material which I have. Okay, so here is the table, creating table. So now I have a table employee. I'm creating a table employee with employee ID with identity column. I'll tell what is an identity column. So I have first name varchar 20. That means the name can vary from first name can vary from 1 character to 20 characters. That is the reason why I have used varchar. And if the characters are fixed characters, I'll be using char 20. Varchar is for varying names. Why I used varchar here is some employees might have 5 characters first name, some employees can have 10 characters, some employees can have even 15 characters first name. So for that reason I have selected varchar data type. And not null. Not null indicates that if you try to insert null value for this first name, it will not allow you. Okay, first name cannot be null. You can have gaps. So you can have gaps in varchar 20. Okay, so we'll see that now. Null indicates that it can be null. So last name I have mentioned null. That means it can allow nulls. Okay. Department varchar 15, it can allow nulls. And salary int, this is called a check constraint. Okay, so I'll explain what is an identity column in some time. So a check constraint will ensure that you cannot insert a negative value now. So when you are inserting a record, so let's try to see how to insert records into database. Okay, now let me open SQL server, and now we will try to create table now. So I'll be using this code. I'll select all this and right click on this. Or before that, I want to explain you identity column. So let me not use this now. Let me create a table now. So create table employee. I'm going to create my own table now. I'm giving here employee ID integer, and then I'll tell you what is the importance of primary key now. So employee ID integer and employee name varchar 20. So now I have given this. So the use of this comma, someone is asking what is use of this comma. Comma is to differentiate the columns. So since we have only 2 columns, I just gave comma here, and the last column doesn't require a comma. So for the last column you don't need a comma because that is the last column. Okay, so now this is how you create a table. I'm just creating this. Now let's try to add the records for it. So how to add the records? We need to add using insert command. So insert into employee, and then I need to give the column names. What are the column names? Employee ID comma. What is the second column name? Employee name. Values, I need to give the respective values here. I need to give the respective values. So employee ID 1, I need to give the name as Meghnad. So this is the first employee. Now I have created a table employee ID and employee name. So now I'm going to insert the first record into this table. So all I need to do is select this and then execute. Click on execute. Now one record has been inserted. So let's try to insert another record, saying for example 2 and then Ravi. Now let me execute this. Now if I want to execute this, if I want to see the data, select star from employee, home F5. So I can see all the records in the table. So if I want to see the records in the table, I need to execute select star from employee. Okay, star indicates all the columns. If you want to see all the columns from the table, you need to put select star from employee. Okay, and if you want to see only particular column, so you need to give the column name here. So you need to give employee name here, employee name, select employee name for. So if I execute this, I'll see only employee names. If I give star here, I can see all the employee names. Select star from employee, you will see all the columns. Okay, now I have not used any primary key or anything. I have not used. So if I try to insert employee ID 1 again, let me try to insert employee ID 1 with name Bharat. So the disadvantage of not having primary key, see now I am trying to insert employee ID, employee name 1 and Bharat, but if you see in the table, I already have employee ID 1 for Meghnad. So now I am trying to insert 1 for Bharat. So if I execute this, it will not throw any error. It has inserted, but I don't want this to happen, because if I try to see select star from employee, I can see two employee IDs, two employees with same employee ID. So I don't want this to happen. So for that reason, what I can do is I can make this employee ID as a primary key. A primary key will not allow duplicate values. Okay. So now what I need to do now, I need to make this as primary key. How to make this as primary key? Just give space and primary key. Okay, so now I have a question, how to drop this table. I already have employee table created, so I'm going to create a table again with primary key. So I can do that using alter statement, but still let me drop the table. So drop table employee. Now let me execute this. Now what I need to do, I have added employee ID integer primary key. So let me execute this. Now let's try to insert duplicate values. Okay, let's come from the beginning. I will insert Meghnad. Now I'll copy this. I'll paste it again. Now I'll put here 2. I'll put here Ravi. I'll put 1 here, and I'll try to put again here Bharat. Okay. Now I have this primary key in place. So let's try to see what happens now when I try to execute. So let me add a row for Meghnad, and let me add a row for Ravi. We can even execute all the 3 at the same time. Okay, so now let's try to execute Bharat with employee ID 1. So let me execute this. So I have selected this and I'm executing this. So it is showing me an error saying like violation of primary key constraint, cannot insert duplicate key into the object employee ID. Duplicate key value is 1. So that is the use of primary key. So primary key will ensure you that it will not allow duplicate values for you. Okay. Even if I try to insert null here, for example, if I try to insert null here, null is something like a blank value or a void value. So if I try to execute this, even I'll get an error saying like cannot insert value null into employee ID table. Column does not allow null values. So the 4 points which we got explained from Kavita, I repeat again. A primary key is used to differentiate the records from the table, and a primary key cannot have null values. A primary key cannot even have duplicate values. And what is the last one? A table can have only one primary key. Okay. So now this is the use of. So now if a new employee joins, okay, so I have a question to all of you. So if a new employee joins, what is the employee ID I need to give for the new employee? What is the ID of the new employee? I repeat the question. I saw only 2 responses. If a new employee joins, what should be the employee ID of that employee? Yeah. So So the answer is 3. Now every time a new employee joins, so you imagine if I don't have these 3 things, so every time a new employee joins, what you should do? So every time when a new employee joins, I have to go to the table, I have to do a select star from the table. So what I need to do, I have to do a select. Sorry, again power went off here, so today it's a bit fluctuating for me, so I'm not able to see the keyboard now. Okay, so now select star from employee. Okay, so I'm executing select star from employee. I'll execute this. So now I have 2 records. Select star from employee, I have 2 records. So every time when I want to add a new employee, I need to check what is the current employee ID, maximum employee ID. So I need to check that, okay, currently it is 2, now let me insert 3. So that is what I need to do. Why should I worry for this? So now if I want to add a new employee, for example say Bharat, I need to do a select star from employee and I need to check what is the maximum employee ID. Employee ID is 2, so let me make this as 3. Now let me execute this. So now imagine if next employee joins, again I need to verify what is the biggest employee ID here, and then I need to, okay, why this is not inserted? Okay, I think I have not executed it. Let me execute this. Now let's see select star from employee. So I have 3 employees. Now next time when another employee joins, I need to again do a select star from employee. I need to see that, okay, 3 is ID. Now I need to give 4 here. Okay, so I need to give 4 here, and then I need to give name here, Rajesh or whatever. So now I need to execute this. So I don't want to do this because I'm doing double work. I'm executing 2 commands. For that reason, what you can do is you can make this employee ID as the identity column. When we make that as identity column will have 2 things. So if you go here, identity column will have 2 things. The first one is called seed or initial value, and the second one is called incremental value. This is called initial value and this is called incremental value. So now let me go back here and let me drop this table again. So this is so I'm going to drop this table. I'm not able to see the keyboard. Okay, so now let me drop the table. Drop table employee. Execute this. Now I'm going to add employee ID as identity column. IDENTITY identity 1,1. Now, so okay, I need to put this after integer. Okay, so right click on this, cut, and then here paste it. Give a space. Okay, so employee ID is an integer, which is an identity column, which starts with 1 and which will be incremented every time by 1, and it's a primary key. Now while inserting records into employee, I don't need to give this employee ID because it itself identity column will take care. So I need to remove this. Just a second. I am not able to see. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to remove this employee ID because your identity column will take care of that. So now I'm removing this. So when your table is having an identity column, you need not put that column here. Your identity column will itself take care of adding that initial value 1 and incrementing it by 1. So now insert into employee name is the column. I'm not giving employee ID here, and values, let me give Meghnad again. So let me execute this. So okay, I dropped the table, so let me create the table now. I create the table now. Okay, I'll explain the identity column again. Okay, so and if you make any column, I got a question saying to explain the identity column again. Okay, so previously when you saw the table without identity column, whenever I'm adding a new record, whenever I'm adding a new employee details, I have to check the maximum value which is already there, and then I was adding the new column, and then I was adding the new record with 1 plus of that. But when you make that column as identity column, so whenever you insert record into that, the column will itself take care. So now let's try to understand better now. So I have made this column as identity. Now I'm inserting employee with employee name as Meghna. So if I execute this, one row has affected. So now if I see select star from employee, the value is 1 Meghnath, because you have made this as identity column. For the first insert which you do, that will make this initial value here. So whatever you are seeing here with this is an initial value. So this is an initial value and this is incremental value. So for the first record which you insert, it will add this 1 as here, so employee ID 1. Next time when you insert any record, for example, next time I want to insert Ravi here, second record Ravi as employee. So when I execute this, one record has been affected, and now when I click on select star from employee, I can see that which is incremented by 1. So Ravi is having employee ID 2. So now I don't need to care about what is the maximum ID which is already there. I don't need to add plus 1. I need to insert the record. Okay. So now when another employee joins, Bharat, I don't even need to give the column here, employee ID column, while inserting the records. So I can simply give it here like this. Now when I do a select star from employee, your identity column would have added one more record for that. See now, 3 Bharat. Okay. So that is the use of identity column. Okay. So now let me ask a question to all of you. So let me copy this. So how many of you are clear with identity column? Okay. So now then if you are clear, you need to answer this question. So I'm dropping this table. Employee. Now I am going to have this Meghna, and I'm going to have as Ravi, and I have Bharat, 3 employees. Now I'm making this as 1000 here. I'm making this as 1000 here, and I'm making this here as 5. Okay. So now questions to all of you. I'm going to create a table again. I'm creating this table again. Now questions to all of you. So when I insert this record Meghnath, so what will be the ID for that? What will be the employee ID for Meghnath? I'm seeing mixed responses. Some are saying 1000, some are saying some other values. So now let me execute this. So this is the initial value. This is the initial value for the first record. For the first record, when I insert employee ID will be 5. Will be 1000. For the first record, so when you see 2 values here, so the first value indicates that the initial value, that is the initial value, and the second value indicates the next value, incremental value. So now let's try to insert value here. Let's try to insert Meghnath. Now if I try to do a select star from employee, I will see 1000 here. See now I'm seeing 1000 here. Okay. So now when I try to add Ravi here, when I try to execute Ravi here, and when I do a select star from employee, I will see 1005 here. Okay. So when I try to execute Bharat here, so I will see here 1010. So when I execute this, I'll see 1010. So if you have an identity column for the first record, this will be the value. From next record onwards, it will add this value whatever you are mentioning here. Okay. So now, so do you think there is use of identity column? Do you think identity column saves your time? Yeah, identity column plays an important role, especially when you want to increment the value by some fixed value. Okay. So now and one more thing you should keep it in mind. When you have identity column, you should not mention here employee ID. Like you should not mention here 5 or something. So when you have an identity column, while inserting record, you should not put that column here. Why you should not put here? Because your identity column will take care of this column. You should not worry about this. So you should not put this here. Okay. So that is about identity column. Now, so identity column will have 2 things. This is called initial value. So we call this initial value as seed. So the initial value, which is 1000 here, we call that value as seed. So a seed is seed in general term is a seed is called where the plant will be born, right? So the initial value, so that's why they call as seed column seed. So this value is seed and this is incremental value. Okay, so normally we make identity column for those columns which are incremented by fixed value and which are different for all the employees. So those types of columns we make it as identity column. Okay, so I'm seeing a question. We use identity command only in primary column? Not necessarily. Not necessary that we need to use identity column on a primary key. Wherever you want, you can do that. You can use that identity column. Okay.